applications tonight. We're going to review them for context and appropriateness. We are not going to be discussing code and zoning. Those are handled by agencies other than the Landmarks Preservation Commission. We would appreciate your following the guidelines I just asked for, and we will start with the first of the applications after Jordan gives us a quick introduction for those who need to know how to use the computer for this particular session.
Thank you, David. Welcome. If this is your first time joining us virtually, you will notice that you are currently muted and everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting except for the committee co-chairs, David, Anthony, and Jane, and any presenters as we move through the agenda. Following the presentations, the co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by pressing the raise hand button on the bottom of your screen, not the wave or thumbs up, as those will disappear. Only press it once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. If you're calling in on the phone, it is *+9 to raise your hand and *+6 to unmute. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once one of the co-chairs calls on you. The chat is available for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems, not to ask questions of the co-chairs. They will not see the chats. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you may need to find the React menu, Participants menu, or a button that says More, where you will find the raise hand feature in one of those. If you plan to speak during the meeting, it would help us if you would rename your device with your full first and last name. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we may not be able to see you. Chat me, I'm here for support.
Thank you, Jordan. I'll read the first application, 133 East 95th Street, expanded Carnegie Hill Historic District, Mark Bierek, the architect. A neo-federal style building designed by Frank Wennemer and constructed in 11, well, doesn't look right to me. I assume it's 1890. Application is for modifying the original application for horizontal rear addition on each floor, interior wall reconfiguration, upgraded utilities throughout, additional central CV via a PRS system, renovation of rear yard, and direct replacement of front window. The new design, modest in its approach by reducing the depth and number of floors in the addition. And who's the architect here?
It's me. My name is Mark.
So the screen is yours, Mark.
All right, and I apologize for raising my hand, but it was an instinct. If it's acceptable, I would like to share my screen because I have a PowerPoint presentation, and I want to make sure
to share your screen.
Great. I just want to make sure that I'm going to share the correct one. So one moment. Share. And I'm going to share this one. And kindly, if people can say, what are you guys seeing the presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. My name is Mark Bierek. I'm a principal at DTLS Architecture, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present again. For those of you who weren't here for our last presentation, the building's located at 133 East 95th Street, and it's located on a block between Lexington Avenue and Park Avenue. Over the last couple of months, we've had numerous meetings with neighbors, landmarks, and the community at large, and we've taken feedback on the overall design and our construction methods to make a more streamlined building, and we'd like to go over that via the presentation. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. If you look at the original Sanborn map, it's on the northern edge of the Upper East Side, and the block is bounded by 95th Street on the south and 96th Street on the north. Our building is on the north side of 95th Street. It's important to take a look at the survey because it points out that the rear of the house has some excavation for access to the cellar, as well as a large rear staircase that's exterior. The front of the facade is unique to the area because even before this 1940 photograph, it was built out 5 feet in the front. It also has a vertical addition. All of these predate landmark designations. We have gone through a planned restoration for the front facade, and Landmarks has requested that we don't speak about this during our presentation since all of this will be staff level approval. But I would like to add that our clients love this building and they're eager to restore it to pristine shape, as well as stitching it in with neighbors to the west and to the east. Looking at the rear yard, one of the discussion points that came up with our presentation last time was this notion of the rear courtyard donut. So we prepared some diagrams to illustrate what sorts of rear extensions there are, as well as what sorts of buildings are extending beyond the 30-foot setback for the rear yard. Especially when you look at the north side of the street, there's a lot of larger scale buildings and multi-unit buildings, which are starting to extend back towards 95th Street. Along 95th Street, there's a variety of different rear extensions, and our plan is to increase the size of our building, but still remain respectful to the overall neighborhood and design. Another point that was noted during some of our presentations was that this building already has a top floor. So we prepared this diagram to illustrate which other buildings have a top floor that's been added over time. And just to show you the front facade, I want to reiterate that the people that are going to be doing this renovation, they really love this neighborhood and they love the street. These are not developers. These are family and a multi-generational family that picked this site because of the appeal of the street and the building itself. So it wasn't even a second thought for them to take the time to use appropriate finishes and fixtures while they're replacing the front facade windows, as well as restoring the brick and the sidewalk. For the rear of the building, there's an existing precedent for rear addition. And also when we look at our building, it's not a very appealing rear facade. There's very little relationship between our building and either the adjacent buildings. And our intention is to start to pick up on some of the geometric cues of the adjacent buildings. For our zoning analysis, we've reduced the extent and the number of floors which we'll be adding to our rear addition. We'll explain why we still feel this rear addition is necessary as we get into the floor plans, but I do want to reiterate that our client's intention has always been to preserve as much of the front of the building as possible. Now, part of the reason why we're doing this is not just because we are having a certain amount of admiration or appreciation for the historic front of the building, but also to minimize the construction timeline by not making it a full gut renovation. But originally our intentions were to focus primarily on the rear of the building, which was non-historic, and to make it a little bit more appealing and functional. Looking at the building in our zoning section, we originally had the rear addition going to the top floor. We've now started stepping it back incrementally based on feedback we've received over the last 2 months. The existing rear facade has very little relationship to any of the other buildings in the line, whereas our proposed addition starts to pick up on some of the height and scale cues of some of the adjacent neighbors, especially when it comes to the heights of the windows or the finishes of the rear glass railing in order to stitch together a treatment that is both respecting of the neighbors, but also practical for the floor plan. This also shows some of the rear and vertical additions that are currently there and proposed so that you can get an idea for how our proposed rear extension would fit into the adjacent buildings as a whole. This is the existing rear facade and the proposed rear facade on the right-hand side. Sectionally, we're building out into the rear, but we're also going to be removing the rear staircase and cleaning up the rear yard, which is currently fallen into disrepair. What I wanted to highlight towards the end of this presentation was one of the most dramatic changes that we've made over the last 2 months. Our client's intention was always to observe the front of the building, including the existing staircase. Because of that, the original location of the elevator was going to be placed in the rear of the building. An elevator has been deemed necessary because they're a multi-generational family. They want to create an environment where their parents can age comfortably and still use the building. Based on the feedback that we received from the neighbors, we've moved the elevator from the rear of the building up to the front, and we've attempted to accommodate that change in every floor. Some of these floors, you'll see it's a very minor change, such as in the cellar, on the main floor, on the first floor. The second floor is where we started to have to accommodate this change. Originally, the intention was to create a pathway to connect the library from the primary bedroom. We've removed that from the scope, understanding that the elevator is necessary in this location. This works well for the third floor, but by the time we get to the fourth floor, which is step back, we've had to make modifications in the front of the room so that we could accommodate the elevator. We also have had to cut some of the joists in the front to accommodate the stair shaft. Ultimately, though, these were small changes that we were able to accommodate based on the feedback that we received over the last couple of months. The rear facade will get discussed with our landmarks team. So they wanted to make sure that we were using appropriate windows and doors for the rear facade. And we're going to be using Marvin Elevate for the rear, which is already been discussed with our landmarks rep. And we also wanted to go over any of the required detailing that was associated with the project. I wanted to thank everybody for taking time out of their busy schedule to have us present again. When you have new neighbors that are moving into your area, it's important to create a strong sense of community and support amongst one resident to the other. They like your neighborhood a lot, and I appreciate you guys hearing us out. Thank you.
We have so far one member of the public, a couple members of the public raising their hands.
Jordan, why don't you call them out in the order they raise their hands?
Okay, sounds good. All right, first up is Christina.
Hi there. We're the Cliffords and we live at 135 East 95th, directly next to and to the east of 133. We've moved to this block intentionally for the peace, the privacy, and the very rare community. We've lived here for 14 years and raised 3 children and a large dog, and we've never done an extension. The space was more than adequate for all of us, and 133 is currently 25% larger than ours without an extension. Our neighbors at 133 are proposing an enormous structure, a 3-story, 13-foot extension, which would tower over us and our neighbors. We would lose privacy in the backyard, in all of our rooms that they can look directly into, take away precious light, and ruin our backyard, not to mention the value of our house. Please be aware that 133 already protrudes 5 feet farther in the front than any other townhouse on the block. That's an extra 5 feet plus. They are a 5-story building with a basement versus the rest of the townhouses on the block, which are 4 stories. It would be one thing if this was all interior and did not affect any of us, but this is the problem. It affects all of us enormously. This proposal is excessive, it's inappropriate, and totally without consideration of all the neighbors as well as the ethos of this very special block. This would set a horrendous precedent with many consequences. While the facades of these buildings need protection, so do the rears where we all live. This is wholly unnecessary and flagrantly dismissive that other people live here and share space and light. I would also like to mention that there is a beautiful tree, some type of cherry, in the backyard of 133 that will either die from being uprooted from their construction or will have to be removed because it is in the path of their extension. We cherish this tree. It sits in front of my office window and the flowers in the spring, but has birds that feed from its berries year round. It is special and spectacular, and its removal will be devastating to us and this wonderful ecosystem in these backyards. Please vote no for this extension. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Next up is Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa DeSori. I am also a resident of this beautiful block that my husband and I moved to earlier this fall with our 3 children after walking down it many, many, many times. If you haven't been there, it does feel truly architecturally unique. And it's so special to move into this historic district. Really kind of to echo a bunch of what Christina has said, the house that we're talking about already protrudes 5 feet at the front of the building onto the block, complete with lot line windows, and has a lot of space there. And the notion of putting on this kind of towering addition at the back where so many of us spend time and really enjoy the light and air feels really out of keeping and inappropriate in a historic district. And I know, of course, we've been talking about the building itself, but the building itself is part of this ecosystem that I know Mark has said his clients are so excited to be part of and appreciate. And part of appreciating being in that historic district is, I think, building things that are in the spirit and in keeping and truly not harming the overall nature of the street. My house does push out into the rear yard. It was improved at the commission level by landmarks, I think back in around 2012 by the prior owners. Our addition is much smaller than the footprint that is being proposed by 133. On our other side is also an even smaller addition that was approved at the staff level that is essentially a greenhouse with some space below it. And there's an addition further down the block that is under 5 feet out the back. So the scale of what is being proposed really is dramatically different. Never mind when you think about the space that they already have taken at the front, pre-landmarks, took legitimately. But I hope that a family and an elevator and all these things could be accommodated in the current footprint. I don't know why they need quite as much space. Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. And then next is Lo.
Oh, what a mistake.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Could you upload what I sent? Is that possible?
Yes, or if you have it on your screen, screen sharing is available, or if you'd rather I share my
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, please share your screen.
Okay, give me a second. Yeah, this is the first document you sent me, Lo.
Yes, could you go to the second document, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, my name is Lo Vandervalk. I'm representing Carnegie Hill Neighbors, and we are very much opposed to the current application. The purpose of this page is to illustrate what changes have been made in the rear yards since they were built without any additions, which is unusual. Not even L's were included in around 1890. And still, the rear yards are very much intact. Looking at number 1, which is circled, that rear yard addition is noted by the city, but it does not exist. And if you look at the bottom of the page, you can see a photograph of that shows that there is no addition there. Number 2 was done before the historic district was designated in 1993, and it's only 5 feet deep, although it does go up 5 stories. Number 3 is the addition of a greenhouse on stilts. That's one of 2 approvals by the Landmarks Commission, but it's staff level approval. It doesn't carry the weight of the commissioner's approval, which, by the way, is currently being sought for this application. Now, moving to number 4, which is 131, that was the additions to 131 were granted by commission approval, and they were quite extensive, but still adhered to a sense of proportion. The first floor goes out about 11 feet. The second floor goes out only half of that. There is nothing added at the 3rd or 4th floor, and the 5th floor, which is the roof, had to be set back 6 feet, which, by the way, the current applicant already has taken that space and will not set back. So 131 is a good prototypical example of acceptable compromises reached to accommodate the owners and the concern for the rear yard space. And we would like that to be the template for 133. However, 133 is going out 2 more feet. Can we go to the other document, please? Yes, the next page. Next page. Next page. Yes. So this shows what the applicant is seeking. And it's 2 feet more than 131, than a neighbor to the east, to the west. It added a full second floor and a partial third floor. So we think that second floor should be that addition should be eliminated, and only what's shown here at the third floor should be at the second floor, and that would bring this addition in line with 131. And even if they do that, they still come out. Even if they were to conform to what 131 did, they would still come out ahead, because they already have this rooftop addition that is not set back, that was added in the 1930s, end of the 1930s. And they already have the 5-foot extension in the front, which allows for 3 full floors. And incidentally, for 2 of those floors, there are lot line windows facing east and west that are allowing a lot of sunlight at different hours of the day. And that's an advantage that neither of the neighbors can ever get, because they won't be allowed to go out, because even though they're lot line windows, they are historic windows and landmarks will protect them. So even if they adhere to what was done at their neighbor here, they still come out ahead because they have this addition, and they come out ahead because of the additions in the front. So that, we think, is a strong argument to reject this application. Also, in the front, can we go back to page 1? Yeah, we're not so sure that enclosing the front with a gate is such a good idea. It encourages clutter developing inside that areaway, which would be fenced off. And it's not true to the original plan, which allows access to the sidewalk and creates a consistent idea of an addition. So that is the extent of our concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou. And then we have one more member of the public with their hand raised, Fred.
Yeah, hey, sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Thanks. Hey, so I'm Melissa's husband, and I know she already spoke, so I won't take too much of your time. But I did just want to add, we moved into 131 after admiring the block for a long time, and we moved from just up from 96 in Madison. And of course, as everyone knows, the facades on the block are beautiful, and that's certainly a draw. But one of the other things that really attracted us to the block is the space in back, and the amount of light that is allowed into the back, and the backyards, and the fact that really that it was as open as it is. And so I did just want to kind of make that point, that I feel like the proposed addition does change the character in the back. It not only is going to take some of our light, but it's going to set a precedent if it goes forward that'll, I think move in the wrong direction and allow for really that unique character of the space in everyone's backyard to be changed going forward. So I know people are thinking about that, but I wanted to add my voice to it.
Thank you.
All right, and that was all the hands raised.
Okay, so we'll go to the committee, and why don't we go in reverse order?
Reverse, alrighty, so then we will start with Marco.
Thank you, David. Can you put the presentation of, I think it's the second page that the applicant presented to us?
Yes, I can share my screen again.
Yeah.
Let me
similar the drawings that Law Abandon will present to us.
Of course, give me 1 second. Wrong thing. I promise I do know how to do this. Was it the actual second page or the one that he pulled out?
That one. Yeah, you passed already.
Oh, this guy.
Next one.
Oh, sorry. This one?
Next one.
Oh.
Next one.
This one.
That one. That's, if you are a little bit enlarged, the left side will be great.
Yeah, I can try to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's fine. Thank you for the presentation. While I acknowledge that this is a narrow lot, 70 feet wide, the proposed 13 foot enlargement would substantially reduce the donut, which is a defining feature specifically intended to provide light, ventilation, and adequate sun exposure. This proposal does not preserve the donut. It continues its erosion. Approving this application would set a harmful precedent. It will invite similar rear yard extensions for adjacent properties. At the present, in your presentation, only 3 buildings in this block encroach 1 story into the rear yard, and only 1 encroaches 2.5 stories. Approval of this proposal would increase that number. This would undermine the established pattern of development, be inconsistent with the surrounding context, and should not be supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Marco. Okay, next is John.
I don't have any particular comments or questions at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then next is Sarah.
Hi, thank you to the applicant for bringing this application back to the board. I appreciate that there was that you took the time to review and share this submission with the community board. I share the same concerns about the donut, and I've always felt that the rear yard is also a part of what we should consider for appropriateness. And so I would say that Low Vanderval's analysis is very compelling to me. But I will look forward to hearing what my colleagues say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alita.
Thank you. Excuse me. And to the applicant, thank you very much for coming back. I always felt it's important when applicants do respect the community board and try to make it work with us. I echo everyone else's comments about the rear yard. It's too much, it's too big, it's too tall, it's inappropriate. It sets a terrible precedent because in the same way the applicant raised what other houses have done or other people have done with their houses, on that block. This house will be used as an example of what else people could do and just go a little bit further or a little bit taller. So I oppose it. I do like the idea of a cherry tree. I realize it's your property, but it adds a lot to the donut, if you will. And the low raised it. I know we're not supposed to discuss it. The gate is a big problem. It's off-putting and it creates a moat, which I am vehemently opposed to. But just back to the back, I've already said, I guess, what everyone else has said, but I cannot support this. It's just too much. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Michelle.
Thank you, and thanks to the applicant. It was a very good presentation. Am I to understand, you're mentioning the gate, but am I understanding that the front facade is not part of tonight's presentation?
Mr. Birak, isn't that correct?
He accidentally muted. I just unmuted him again. Requested
Many
me.
apologies, I was muted. You are correct that that's no longer part of the scope that's going to be going to the commissioners. That
And is
everything,
that because it's all been approved at the staff level, including the fence?
it's not that it's already been approved, but our staff member didn't feel like it was necessary for the commissioners to review it. So they requested we pull it out of the scope for this presentation.
But it's been approved at the staff level?
No, I said that they didn't want us to present to the commissioners, and they said that in the future they would review it as a staff, but they don't have any definitive decision as to what we can and cannot do.
Well, I don't think it would be inappropriate for this committee, while commenting on the rear, and in light of the fact that there has been no final decision on the front facade, and especially this fence seems to be part of it. I don't know what else you're doing to the front, but it seems to me that we should have a better visual of it and be able to comment on it, if that's okay with the co-chairs. But to leave it out when there's been no decision made, and while it sits in front of the board, seems to be an unnecessary exclusion of something that we could comment on
I think
with
that
some
the intention
consequence.
from our landmark staff member is that when we're doing these presentations, they want to make sure that the issues that are brought to the table are solely what would be of concern of the commissioners. And based on the previous design in which we presented to Community Board 8, and then the discussion we had with our staff member, they felt that it would be a staff level approval. So they asked that we take it out of the presentation. I do think that as a community board member, you're welcome to comment on anything you want, but I think that the commissioners are primarily concerned about what's happening in the rear.
Yeah, I understand that. And as a last note, just to say that this committee had once actually let the board, we decided amongst ourselves, and I think we let the commission, the staff know that when something comes to us, like we couldn't comment on something that had to do with the rear yard because it wasn't specifically included in the rear yard presentation. I won't belabor it, but I don't think, I disagree with that decision. I would hope we could make a comment. But moving on to the rear, I too feel that it's too big, too bulky, and too intrusive. And here, where you use the rationale for all the glass that you are putting on that rear, the rationale was, well, look at the two houses adjacent. They both have this glass too. And that's exactly the reason why it becomes very important to be vigilant about what we approve, because as Alita says, they become examples for other applications in the future. And that's just what happened here. If that glass on the adjacent townhouse would have come before us, I would not have approved that. So I can't rationalize approving this. But as a general, in general, it's too much, too big, too bulky. And I think that pretty much sums it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Elizabeth.
I agree with my colleagues here. I think that they've tried very hard, and I don't like to turn them down, but I think that in this particular space, this addition just does not fit in. It is too large for it. And so I'm afraid I can't vote for it either.
Thank you. Christina?
Thank you. I know the block well. My husband had an office for many years at 141 East 95th. It's a beautiful street. I was always surprised over the years how few people, because I overlook them all going west, how few people use their gardens in the back. That surprised me over the years. I don't have any comments on the other part. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Anthony, David, Jane.
Well, I'll go first. I am going to support Lowe's position. I appreciate the applicant returning to us, but I think there's still work to be done. So I cannot support the application in its present iteration. Thank you.
Okay, I'm next, and I agree with Jane and Lo and many of the others, and also find myself in agreement with Michelle on the matter of the front. As committee members well know, I am almost always opposed to any kind of fence in the front of these houses. But having said that, and we're not talking about that tonight, this is in fact just too big, and in a way it really does a disservice to what was a very interesting 1930s addition when the building was pushed out toward the front. Thank you.
Derek, I'm looking at the drawing on the left, and is there some reason why 133, which is supposed to be 5 feet projected in the front, isn't shown that way?
I think that could just be a graphical error, but thank you for pointing that out. That's very helpful.
And the gate is going into the public domain, or is it on the property?
It would be aligned with the adjacent gates. On the other brownstones in the block have similar gates that are kind of partitioning them from the street.
And is the gate going to be in the public domain on the sidewalk?
I'd have to check this survey to find out for sure.
Because you're probably going to the property line, is that correct?
Again, I wasn't planning to address any of these concerns in this forum based on the feedback we've received from landmarks.
No, we understand that the drawing calls attention to it. And it's true that it may not be specifically within our purview tonight, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it's become an issue. And generally, we do stay away from things that are going to be approved at staff level. But the staff may not have been correct in exempting this based upon the seriousness of the question here. So we can't officially comment on liking it or disliking it, but we certainly can bring it to the attention of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. Insofar as the rear goes, I'm in agreement with everything that's been said up until now. I would also say that although you did multi-light windows, somehow the scale of those windows, or maybe it's just the scale of everything you're doing, just feels out of proportion, particularly when you look at it to the expansion next door. So without wanting to repeat everything that's been said, I personally will not support this either. I only wish that when you came back, you had done something which was proportionately the same at most as the addition next door. When you look at it, and I can't imagine in your own eye that you can't see that the bulk is just inappropriate. So I think we need a resolution.
Marco's hand is raised
Marco.
and Alita's as well.
Okay.
Marco?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I would like to put a motion. The motion is to disapprove as presented. Thank you.
Alita, are you seconding it?
Yes, she is.
Second.
Okay, would you please call the roll?
David, before we call the roll,
By the way, I assume it's a resolution to disapprove,
Yes.
and you're expecting that we will write it up correctly.
David, just
Yes.
would you add a whereas about the gate in the front somehow?
Absolutely, that's what I
Okay.
said.
Thank you. I misunderstood. Thank you.
Okay.
Give me just a second to pull up the vote sheet, everyone.
While we're doing this, I did want to just say that we do appreciate having the opportunity to present to everyone again. And I do think that there were many valid discussion points that were brought up. I apologize for not being able to include the front gate or any of the restoration work we were going to do on the facade. But as people were here for the previous meeting, that is part of our intention. And I think that it's not only an important thing for me as an architect to make sure these buildings are preserved, but also it's important to the client in a respectful manner to the neighborhood.
Only one more comment. I'm sort of unhappy with the number of people who buy small buildings only to enlarge them, knowing when they enlarge them that they're not going to be appropriate, that they're going to be different in scale. So I'm not saying that that was purposeful, but it just happens so often that you wonder why they just didn't look for a larger building.
I think that's a valid point, but something that me as an architect, I try to make sure I don't judge other people on their lifestyle or the number of people they plan to keep in a specific dwelling.
We're not having a cross discussion right now, and I'm not judging their lifestyle. I only made the comment that people buy small buildings to make them big buildings in areas where, in my opinion, they shouldn't be trying to make the building as big as they would like it to be. It's simply an observation, and it's not a discussion. Let's have a vote.
Let's go to, so this is for item 1. This is a motion to disapprove. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Marco?
Yes.
Christina?
Abstain.
All right, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you
everyone.
so much for the presentation.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Anthony?
Yes, thank you, David. Item number 2 is 168 East 75th Street, which is part of within the Upper East Side Historic District extension. And Claude Hurt, Jr., registered architect, an arts and crafts style building designed by B. Muldrone and constructed in 1902. Application is for a 2-story vertical addition to an existing 2-family house and a conversion to a 1-family house. And is the applicant here?
My name is Frank Bueno, the
Okay.
presenting on behalf of the applicant Claude Hurt and the owners of 168 75th Street. Thank you.
Okay, and are you going to share your screen?
Yes, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
We have a PowerPoint presentation.
Please proceed.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Okay, 1 second. Little technical difficulty is not sharing. Allow some workspace to share your screen. I do apologize. I'm trying to share my screen, but it's not seems to be sharing. It's
Jordan, is there a problem with the?
He should be able to share his screen. Let me like try to reset some settings. Maybe that'll.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead and try it now.
I understand it's not allowing me to share. I always been able to share. Allowing to do is give me a notice, allow some workspace to share your screen. That's normal, but it's not permitting me to share it.
If anything, I can pull up the presentation on my end and share if you're still having difficulties. Does that sound okay, Anthony?
That sounds fine with me.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, give me just a second. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, just let me know when you need me to switch slides.
Sure. If we go to the second page, please.
Yes.
To third page. Sorry. The real history of the building. Let me start from the beginning. As I said, my name is Frank Bueno. We are here today to seek your approval for a comprehensive renovation and enlargement project that is rooted in a deep respect for the building unique historic and architectural integrity of the East 75th Street Automotive Stable Road. The property at 168 East 75th Street is a versatile part of a historic road of 5 buildings ranging from 168 to 176 East 75th Street. Originally constructed in 1880, the road was famous and significantly converted in 1902 by architect Hill Stroud. The conversion introduced a 4-story and a striking new harbor brick facade in an art and craft style, transforming them into an auto stable, a road noted at the time as likely the first garage erected for private use in the city. Our proposed aim to restore, refine, and harmonize the historically significant facade while enable a necessary increase in residential space entirely consistent with the evolution of adjacent property. Could we scroll down to the next page, please? We're showing the history of the signboard map. This is from 1896. Scroll down to the next one to show the property location, 1901. Next one, please. Next one. Next one, please. Thank you. We're proposing we're reflecting the floor plans. If you can scroll down to the next page, you're trying to reach the facade. the one with the elevations. Next one, sorry. Here we go. Our facade modification are driven by three main goals: restoration, harmonization, and sustainable performance, in alignment with Commission guidelines and precedents. The Row 5 automotive stable was designed to be a cohesive unit, yet alteration over the past century have introduced inconsistencies. We propose to restore the visual unity of the road by mirroring successful and established elements found on the adjacent building. We propose to enlarge the main residential entry door on the left side to 34 inches versus the existing opening of 28 inches. This dimension is specifically chosen because it is closer in size to the entrance at 170, 172, 174, 176 East 71st Street. This modification is a direct and respectful form of contextualization, ensuring our entry align visually with the neighbor and promote a consistent architectural rhythm across the historic property. We propose the installation of 2 new windows on the second floor, positioned to the left and right of the central window. This will be similar in size, design, and fenestration pattern to those currently existing at 170 and 174. This move restores symmetry and contributes to a black-white aesthetic cohesion, effectively aligned in design of each one of 168th Street with immediate neighbors. We plan to reinstall a Juliet balcony on the second floor level, reintroducing the feature that was removed in the past and which is consistent with the detailing of the neighboring home at 170, 172, and 176. Could we scroll down, please, to the following page where we are showing the front elevation? Those are the existing. That one. So the second floor reflects the 2 windows and the, you can see the difference in the existing elevation and the proposed elevation will be showing the 2 windows and the Juliet balcony. We seek permission to replace the system window with a high performance and energy efficient system that respects the historic aesthetic. The new window will be metal clad and finished in a black paint on the exterior. The choice of material and color minimize visual impact from the street. A strategy that has been consistent and approved by Landmark Commission for high performing unit in the district, as the dark color help profile visual recent. The new units are designed to mimic the appearance of a traditional double hung window with narrow profile. However, the maximum energy efficient sounds attenuation and ease of cleaning. My apology. The upper sash will be fixed and the lower sash will be a tilt and turn unit. This is specific operation variation fixed upper hinge lowers stimulates a double hung is specifically recognized by the Commission as an acceptable variation. When when detailed closely match the historic appearance. Furthermore, this exact configuration has been approved for prominent building in the Upper East Side Historic District, such as window approved for the upper floor at 640 Park Avenue. This confirmed that our proposed meet the commission established criteria for balancing modern build performance with historic accuracy. For our garage door entrance, to accommodate contemporary vehicle and preserve the building historic use as an automotive stable, we are requesting a minimal enlargement of the garage entrance by 4 inches on each side, 8 inches in total. This alteration is designed to preserve the integrity of the ground floor design introduced in the decorative pillars, as is significantly less invasive as the proceed set by 164 East 75th Street. Where a structural column was removed. Our design maintained the architectural spirit while addressing a critical functional necessity. We plan to remove non-historic air conditioning sleeve from the primary facade, meticulously infill this opening. We are committed to sourcing bricks that are similar as possible in color and textures to the existing historic hardware brick, ensuring a precise and sensitive restoration. We could scroll to the facade. There we go. We could scroll to the elevations, the drawn elevations on the earlier pages, please. That's okay. Thank you. Additionally, we are proposing limited modification within the rear yard, which is not visible from the public way and will not affect the building landmark street-facing appearance. The scope includes the removal of an existing rear storage structure that is not part of the original construction, allowing for the restoration of the original 4.5-foot rear yard setback, a modest 10 feet by 11 feet rear patio is proposed to enhance landscape open space. The project also includes the use of the first floor roof as a rear terrace, fully concealed from the public view. This work will result in reduction of approximately 198.65 square feet of the floor area. New and replaced window at the rear facade will be installed in kind or selectively modified to increase transparency, improving light and air in a manner consistent with the traditional utilitarian treatment of rear elevations, and without diminishing the historic character of the building. Finally, our proposal include a 1.5-story rooftop addition. Or you may, could you please scroll down to the renderings, please. Previous page, please. This is a critical component for converting the structure to a viable single-family home. We have designed this addition with precedent-based setback and minimizing visibility as paramount objective. Substantially vertical addition have already occurred or multiple buildings in the specific historic row. For context, the immediate neighbor, 170 and 170 East 75th Street has one floor addition plus a bulkhead. 172 East 75th Street has a two-story addition, and 174 East appear to have a two-story addition from an area view. The main floor of the addition will be set back 3 feet from the existing roof parapet. The partial second floor addition is designed to set back about 26.5 feet from the property line, from front property line. Approximately 2 feet further back from the house on the from the house and the addition at 172 East 75th Street. This is a deliberate design refinement to ensure the addition is truly minimally visible from the street. Additionally, the rear of the second floor partial addition shall be set back 4 feet from the rear facade. The total amount of the addition will be 991.39 square feet and 552.43 square feet, respectively, utilizing a smaller amount of 0.84 of the 9.0 available FAR right. We will use brick material that closely resemble the color of the existing historic brick, ensuring new construction virtually received. Furthermore, we are committed to eliminate the distracting chimney flue that are present on the addition of 172 East 75th Street, resulting in a clear, more sensitive profile that will serve a superior contextual precedent for the road moving forward. We believe this project represents a thoughtful, responsible, and architecturally sensitive path forward for 168 East 75th Street. We respectfully request the Commission approval for this certificate of appropriateness. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Jordan, do you see any members of the public who would like to comment?
Nobody with their hand raised right now.
Okay, 2, 3. All right, well then let's go to the committee and let's do it in regular old alphabetical order since David went reverse.
You got it. All right, first up is Elizabeth.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Could you put the picture back with the current and proposed facades? Yes. I think that the second floor is preferable on the existing. I think the slightly smaller central window and the 2 additions are a little bit busy, but not particularly attractive. The thing that concerns me a lot is the rooftop addition. I just don't see that it is not more than minimally visible, because it looks as though it's about half the size of the building, and I think it is total contrast, and I don't think that I certainly could not approve this, but I guess that about covers it for me. The ground floor, I think, is a change, but I think it's perfectly acceptable. But the top really isn't to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Michelle?
Thank you for the presentation. The first floor with the change of the doors and the divided lights is okay with me. For me, the second floor, you adding those two windows to me is actually unacceptable. That central window is very, very attractive and given ever more prominence when only surrounded by the old brick facade and no additional openings. I think these openings make that second floor look crowded. It looks as though they were an afterthought. It's distinctly unattractive to my mind, and I couldn't approve it. Going up to the third floor, is that an intentional change of the design of the motif in between the two windows, or does it just look that way from the rendering?
It just looks that way. So.
Okay, fine, that's fine. All right, now you're removing the vents because I assume you're going to have central air and heat or whatever. And so that raises the question of where are the mechanicals and how much do they add to the height? And the other question is, you didn't offer any sight lines. So while I can only assume that this addition at the top, 2 stories, is visible, and you did give us the dimension, one is set back 3 feet, the other, I think, 11 feet, if I'm not mistaken, but you did not give us sight lines. So where and when do they become visible? I'm just giving you all my comments at the same time. And because I assume they're visible, which would be something that would be very difficult to approve, in addition, the windows or sliding door, whatever those elements are on the top 2 floors, don't look at all in keeping with the rest of that front facade. So looking at the facade the way it is, assuming there could be no remedy, and still would like to hear about the sight lines, I could not approve that. Now I'm looking at the rear elevation on this slide, but you've given us nothing to compare it to. Did we see anything existing in the rear facade?
I didn't reflect anything existing on the rear facade.
Is that part of this application?
Yes. Could we, to clarify one of your point, can we pull up the rendering where we're showing the existing and proposed of the front facade? It's towards the end. Okay.
One?
So you were saying the windows on the second floor is being too busy. We're reflecting the neighbor's building, so we could keep all the building in harmony. They're symmetrically the same, mirror the same.
Well,
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to just say if the neighbor's facade was added, and to my mind in error, that doesn't mean we should be duplicating it. But let me say this: if the rear facade is part of this presentation, part of this application, I should say, then I consider this presentation wholly incomplete. You haven't given us a before, or you gave us a rendering afterwards, but we have nothing to compare it to. at first glance, just of what's proposed, I think, I imagine you've reconfigured all the windows. You haven't told us about materials. I couldn't begin to vote on this application as a whole unless you only wanted to talk about the front facade. But I consider this presentation, I'm sorry, incomplete.
Okay, we are seeking the whole, the entire project, not just the front. We also don't work in the rear.
Yes, no, I understand that you're
And-
asking that, but you haven't given us anything. You have no visuals.
Okay,
So I mean, I don't even know. Well, I'll leave it at that. You have no visuals. So I think that your presentation is incomplete.
okay. We can provide visual and we can provide the assistance.
When do you do with landmarks?
We had the pre-application meeting with Landmark. We wanted to present to the community board first. Now, after our presentation here, we're gonna go back to the deputy commissioner with Landmark to move forward with that.
When?
We don't have a date yet.
All right, well, was there a reason you didn't bring any information on the rear facade?
No particular reason. We just assumed that it was more involved in the front of the building. This we were looking, but for the next time, we'll be more careful and provide the rear elevations and all the.
Well, I'll just leave my comments where they are then and let the co-chairs deal with this how they like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, next up is Alita.
Thanks. Thank you for your presentation. I agree with Michelle on the rear facade. It's an incomplete application. I can't vote on it at all. Anthony, you'll need to figure out what to do about this. For the front facade, I have nothing kind or good to say about this. I think there is a row of houses that are beautiful. They may be different from each other, but there's a consistency. There's a pattern there that this building, with what you'd like to do to it, completely upends and destroys. The top of it is brutally out of place and inappropriate. As Michelle pointed out, I think that third floor as well has a problem, and those windows next to the door or the middle space on the second floor is also inappropriate. This is yet another example of taking something that is beautiful in its consistency and in its size and in its proportions, and turning it into what looks like, especially from the rendering of the back, of an apartment building, which doesn't belong. So I have to vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alita. Okay, next is Sarah.
Hi, thank you for this presentation. I agree with my colleagues that we normally get a lot more detail about the rear elevation, and so it's difficult to assess it without more information. I have a few questions, and my first one is in the agenda for today. It only lists the rooftop addition on the agenda. And so are we only considering the rooftop addition or
No, we're considering the entire application, which are all of the changes to the front
okay.
and the rear mystery, as well as the
And the
rooftop
front
addition.
elevation. Okay, great. That's very helpful. And then my second question is that based on the existing and proposed elevation sketch on slide 12, that that the addition is proposed to be 2-story, to have a 5th and a 6th floor. And when I look at the rendering on slide 21, This looks to me like it's only the 5th floor, because based on the sketch, the 6th floor is much higher, and the 5th floor rear elevation or rooftop addition matches near the top of the pointed roof. And so I wasn't sure if this was a visual effect of sightlines, or if that's what the 6th floor addition will actually look like.
Let me clarify. The elevation shown on page 12 is a 2D representation, so it will show all the axes. The proposed elevation, the rendering, is shown actually with the sight line if you were standing on the street. Our 5th floor addition is 26.5 feet setback, so it's much further back. So you're not able to see it as much as it is reflected on the 2D elevation. 2D elevation just to determine the height, and like it is, it's just a delineated elevation, so it shows all the you can determine how far back the 5th and 6th floor are. On the proposed elevation, the rendering, you can see that only a small portion you're able to see, because it's so far back that if you're standing across the street from it, you only be able to see that portion of the 6th floor.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that that was the 6th floor that I'm seeing. The portion that's peeking out from behind the building, that's the 6th floor.
Correct.
Okay. Those are the questions that I have for now. I too feel like I don't have enough information on the rear elevation. I guess I'm just confused by some of the mock-ups that because the bulk of the rooftop extension addition seems to be a lot larger than what the sight lines appear to be. And so I wish I just had more clarity there. But those are the questions that I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, next is John.
Thank you. I guess I'm puzzled, first of all, by the facade. I mean, it is much better in its original state than what you proposed here, and I don't really understand the reasoning behind all these changes. But more to the point, I really have an issue with the height of it. And even in this photograph, you can see something sticking up that just kind of ruins the whole effect. So I'd have to say I'm not for this.
Thank you, John. All right, next is Marco.
Thank you. Can you put on the slide number 12? Oh, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. As Michelle said, the application is incomplete on the rear yard. I am going to refer only to on the presentation. The proposed building enlargement is disproportionately to the existing row house fabric along this street. The vertical expansion, approximately 21 feet in height, with an additional 42 inches on the parapet, resulting in a total of roughly 25 feet, exceeds the typical visual scale and massing of the mid-block streetscape. This increase disrupts the established rhythm and proportionality characteristic of the neighborhood. Moreover, the historical proportional integrity of this building is compromised, as the addition alters its original scale and diminishes the architectural harmony between the existing structure and the superimposed expansion volume, resulting in a visually disproportionate composition. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. All right, Christina.
So I wanted to ask, have you had any staff guidance at all on this project, or you just have come to us first?
We had a pre-application meeting with the Landmark Commission before we came to you guys. But as far as from the community board, no.
No, I'm asking about the commission. So Claude Hurt is the architect, is that correct?
That is correct.
No, and so, but he wasn't making the presentation because
Well, I had presented on his behalf before, not in front of this community board, but in other communities.
Because the application is not complete, so it's premature to bring it to the community board at this point. And I would think Mr. Hurt would understand that or know that before you go to everything has to come here before it goes to the commission. And that's not happening. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Christina. Anthony, David, Jane.
Well, I'll go first. I do want to hear what Anthony and David have to say, but in a weird way, I think the applicant should withdraw the application until we have more information on the rear elevation. And I also do feel the extension at the roof is just too big for the building. And I agree with one of my colleagues that said that the original front elevation was more attractive than the current one. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Jane just said. I understand what you're trying to do on the front elevation, incorporating the windows similar to what's on the other building, but if they're not needed from the outside, or rather from the inside, I do think that just having the mass of masonry around the central opening is more powerful and a better design. I certainly am disappointed in having to look at those additional 2 floors. And I know that Landmarks takes the point of view that when you add something, sometimes they like it to be different rather than a replication. But there are times when they also prefer a replication. And the windows in the addition have nothing to do with the windows down below, even if you can match the brick, which you said you were going to try to do. From my point of view, we always should be acting on the presentation as it comes to us. And if you felt that showing us the existing in the rear was not warranted, well, that's your choice. But looking at what you're proposing, it's my choice to tell you that I think it's very inappropriate and disappointing, just as an overall design. The building has a symmetry which is not reflected here, certainly on the ground floor, and the architectural character of it really has very little to do with the original building without having to replicate it. Lastly, I don't understand why people don't do what Landmarks asks. It was my understanding that Landmarks always requires a sightline diagram. I think you would have helped yourself a lot if you had given us a sideline diagram so that we would have understood the reality of how the addition on the top actually relates to the base. So I'm disappointed in what I'm looking at. It's a beautiful building. I think you're not doing it any favors, and I will not support your application.
Thank you, David. I'd like to, a couple of things first. Your presentation, while well-meaning, is confusing and disorganized. And the way you verbally described it as you moved through it sort of underlined that. You want to give us all the information we need to make a decision in some order that makes sense. You're telling us a story. Now, having said that, if you, Jordan, could go first to slide number 3. because I want to make a point about the second floor. Okay, if we look at this little photo, this little historic photos, we see 4 of the 5 buildings. And we see at this point, none of them have those extra windows on the second floor. Now, if we go to slide 14, perfect. If we go to slide 14, we see that these are 5 buildings that were originally identical and have been modified over the years. And if we look at them, we see going from left to right, they have no extra windows on the second floor, extra windows, no windows, extra windows, no windows. So that the group of 5, even though each of them has been treated the one in the middle very cavalierly, based on the original design, the five street facades form a unit with a kind of balance and rhythm that is disrupted if you add those windows, which is probably the biggest reason, aside from the fact that the elevation then feels kind of pinched, is the biggest reason to want to not put them there. I think what you're doing on the ground floor is fine. Eliminating the air conditioners and cleaning all of that up is magnificent, provided you can in fact duplicate the bricks. You mentioned very quickly that you are proposing clad windows. I think in general, this committee has tried desperately to encourage people to do windows that duplicate the originals in material as well as in form. And so that would mean a wood window, not clad. And it's just too tall. It's absurd. And I don't see how anyone can seriously entertain the notion that this is an appropriate addition to this building. If for no other reason than you're going from a 2-family house to a 1-family house, and you then propose to make it that much bigger. Do we have a resolution?
Resolution to disapprove as presented.
Thank you, David. Michelle, are you seconding? She is nodding, yes. Okay. Then let's go to a vote.
Let me pull it up.
And we can do it front to back, even though we did front to back last time.
All right, so this is for item 2, 168 East 75th Street. This is a motion to disapprove. Elizabeth,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Alita,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Marco. Oops, so Marco not get unmuted.
Oh, he appears to be muted.
Marco,
Yes.
thank you. Christina.
Yes.
All right, unanimous approval for a disapproval.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Jane, you're up.
Yes, we're going to the third application, 1185 Park Avenue, apartment 1AL, the expanded Carnegie Hill Historic District. Application is for installation of a louver in place of the existing window and modification of existing door opening to a window. J.P. Fishman, architect. Is he here?
No, I'm actually going to be presenting on behalf of the architect.
Okay, so you are Doug Simpson.
Yes, from Panorama Windows.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, may I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I'm assuming it's up there for you?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So there are actually 3 components to this application, 2 of which were listed on your agenda, but in a pre-hearing meeting with the Landmarks Commission, they were unsure about the third item, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Two of the windows are located on 94th Street, and the third opening is in the interior courtyard. So this is all these windows along 94th Street are currently 1/1 aluminum replacement windows. And the staff will be able to approve all but the three we'll be discussing tonight on a staff level because they conform to the building's pre-existing master plan. This opening here, number 5 and number 10 are the two on 94th Street. Our proposal is to do the full width, full height louver in number 5 and to convert the existing door opening at number 10 to a window to match the adjacent windows. This used to be a doctor's office, and it is now being combined with another apartment to make a single residence. And there is a concern for security on the door opening on 94th Street. The third item is on the interior courtyard, where there is an existing brick opening now all the way up on this facade, where the applicant would like to put a new pair of windows, again, to be used for full width, full height louvers to accommodate air conditioning units. The proposed window on 94th Street now as a single 1/1 double hung is shown here. The proposed louvered window with an exterior applied muntin grid in the grid pattern to match the building standard for this size opening is applied on the outside. The opening further to the west, that is an existing door adjacent to a window, would be converted to a window opening to match the adjacent window. The 1/1 would become 6/6 to match the building's master plan approved windows. And then for the brick opening here, we're proposing to match again a building standard pair of double hung windows in the same size and proportions and grid configurations as are existing elsewhere in the building. We can talk about details, but again, the thought is that they would match the building's existing master plan approved windows. I included a couple of slides showing the 94th Street facade, which indicate that there is precedent for the full width and full height louvers. These two openings here are on the building's second floor. I can zoom in a little bit so that you can see the louvers in the openings that are there now. And then there's some additional windows up on higher floors, again, that are full width and full height louvers. This one on the left here is located on the building's 4th floor. And this is higher up. I think it's on the 12th floor here, again, which is a full width and full height louver. Same shot here. This is a little bit of a blow up of the location. This is the courtyard facade where the new window would go. You could see in this image here that there's currently nothing in that opening all the way up the height of the building. Again, another shot here. This is on the north side of the courtyard. On the south side of the courtyard, in the identical locations on the ground floor, was a historic pair of windows, and the commission on a staff level a year or so ago approved something similar to what we are proposing on the second floor, again, to match the masonry size of the pre-existing window down below. So essentially the thought is to do this kind of opening on the north drop that's in the mirror location. And I just also included some of the architect's slides here that again just show exactly what we've just reviewed. the window becoming a full height louver with an applied grid, the door being converted to a window, and then the last slide. Let me get that a little smaller for you. Let's see. There it is. Okay. For the punched opening to have two 6/6 windows on that brick wall facade. And those are the components of this application.
Thank you very much. Jordan, do you see anyone from the public?
Nobody with their hand raised. No. Oh, just kidding. Lo Vandervalk has his hand raised.
Oh, okay.
Lo?
Yes. Yes. My name is Lo Vandervalk. I'm speaking on behalf of Carnegie Hill Neighbors. The first part of this application on the changes on 94th Street at the first and second story are reasonably clear and make a lot of sense. But after that, the application is really difficult to understand. And so we withhold approval of the other aspects of this application. It was hard to print this. It was hard to understand. And I think the dialogue helps somewhat. So we're going to go back over and review the dialogue before we make any decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Jordan, if there's no one else, we can go to the committee.
All right, sounds good. Do you want to go alphabetical or reverse?
How about alphabetical?
All right, sounds good. All right, first up then, Elizabeth.
I'm a little bit confused about a louvered window. Could you put an example of what that is?
Well, again, as shown in this blow up here, this is a full width and full height louver. There is mechanical equipment behind the louver. The building
Is that
has
behind the window?
it is behind the louver itself and ducted through the louver screen. The building has adopted a policy of trying to standardize the louvers and have given us a specific model number to use in the louvered location.
Mm-hmm. I see. I'm going to have to think a bit about this. I was a little confused, so I'll think about it and I'll listen to my colleagues.
Thank you. All right, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So I have a few questions, but let me pick up on the louver. If there are mechanicals behind that louver, I assume that there's a louver because it's supposed to help with some kind of ventilation. Is that
Correct.
the purpose of it? So how does it function helping with ventilation when it's got closed glass on the external wall?
That isn't glass. It's just it is an actual louver panel.
So the divided lights are not, I mean, that's sort of an aesthetic.
It's a simulation that's applied to the outside surface of the louver itself.
I see. Okay, maybe not so bothersome on the upper floors, but to me very bothersome on the street level. Does the building have a master plan for windows?
Yes, they do.
Now your panorama, my understanding is you don't make wood windows, correct? You make
Aluminum.
steel or aluminum. So the master plan for 1185 Park Avenue calls for aluminum windows?
That's correct.
All right. I find that shocking, frankly, but I guess it is. All right. I understand why you want to change the door. Going to the inside courtyard where you described exactly the picture that you've enlarged, that's on sort of a protrusion that is mimicked on the other side of the courtyard, but you were referring to this brick enclosure as a cutout. Does it form the shape of a window, or is it just flat with the rest of the brick on that protrusion?
It would actually have the louvers would be encased within a perimeter window frame with the same panning detail that the brick mold casing that matches the rest of the building.
Okay, but that does not exist now. There's no
There's nothing
indentation
there.
in the brick. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Okay, well, I think that's very unattractive. That interior courtyard is beautiful. And I don't know when the one on the opposite side of the courtyard was approved or installed, but I'm not happy with that. And now that they're going up, in other words, they took the liberty of, well, if you can do it on the first, we'll do it on the second. Next step is do it on the third and do it all the way up. I really, this is such a beautiful building, and the courtyard is so beautiful. I think these changes are really a violation. I'm sorry, I can't support it.
Thank you, Michelle. I think Alita dropped off, so next is Sarah.
Hi, thank you for the application. Could you, I'm sorry that I missed this. What was the rationale for creating the new window on that brick wall where the mechanicals are?
It was the feeling, first of all, there were very few places to be able to incorporate the necessary square footage or square inches for the venting requirements. And the reason it was located on this return wall was that it was the least conspicuous in the courtyard area, because it's the small, it is a relatively small wall compared to the bulk of the courtyard facade. So this is the return wall down here in this area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's going to be an active vent, is that right?
That's correct.
And the active vent would, if even if you had the window facade over it, it would still be operational?
No, when you mean operational, it's not an actual window itself. It is an opening, like I showed in that final slide, of the south facade, which would house mechanical equipment. Oops, I went by it. I apologize. There. Similar to this opening.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay. Okay. I'm still thinking in terms of how form is driving how function is driving the form. And I look forward to hearing what my colleagues say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is John.
I'm afraid I don't have any questions at all on this, and I just want to listen to the comments of the rest of my colleagues.
Thank you. All right, Marco.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. They changed the door for a window is fine. Replacing a door with a window is acceptable, as is converting a 1/1 window to a simulation 6/6 configuration, which respect the building's established fenestration. However, the proposed replacement of a simulation window with a louver at the lower level would disrupt the continuity and rhythm of the facade, a defining architectural feature of the building. If this change is intended for ventilation or interior comfort, there are more appropriate systems available that achieve these goals without compromising the visual integrity of the facade. Approving this modification as proposed would continue the eroding of this building's architectural character and therefore should be carefully reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you. Christina?
Well, I'll tell my fellow committee members, in August of 2026, I will have lived in this building 50 years. So just to put it in context. Doug, did the board approve cutting into the building?
They did,
They approved cutting into the,
and in that specific location.
I'm quite shocked. Really, because the new chairman of the board's an architect. I really, this building means so much to me, as you can imagine. I'm quite surprised. This is for the through the wall air conditioning of that new apartment.
Well, it's for the equipment to cool a portion of the apartment, yes.
Wow. Well, needless to say, I don't approve it, and one other question on 94th Street.
Yep. Would you like me to go back to that slide?
No, that's okay. What are you doing with the steps? The steps are remaining?
No, the steps would come out.
The steps are coming out.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, no, I do not want to approve this. And I will share my thoughts with the chairman of the board.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Anthony, David, Jane.
Okay, I'll go first. I actually think removing the door is a bad idea. First of all, there is no reason at all to presume that there is a security issue. There's a bathroom behind this door. Yes, it is convenient that it is inconvenient that the only window will be the transom above the door, but the door and its stoop and the little sign are actually part of the character defining elements of this type of building, of this vintage. These buildings had doctor's offices as part of their ground floor. And it seems to me that removing the door is taking away part of the very limited visual interest of that whole ground floor. And likewise, I think that and I guess it was Michelle who said it very eloquently, it might be okay to do the louvers behind fake windows higher up in the building. And I think we approved one less than a year ago. But I think on the ground floor, it's a problem. And I think it's a problem for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that, as I recall, unless the building code is different from what it used to be, and I know we're not supposed to talk about the building code, you're not allowed to have mechanical equipment exhausting into the public way less than 10 feet above grade. And while I'm less troubled by the pair of holes in the courtyard, because they would be a little bit hard to see, they will be visible as you enter the building from the street. So I will not be able to approve this application. Thank you.
I have similar reservations. I think Anthony put it very well. I think, not that I'm in love with it, but you could have a mock door and actually be locked up behind the door so that it's simply a visual attribution to the building as it was, even if it's not usable and even if it's totally secure. in the sense that you can't break through it. I'm a little concerned about the opening. First of all, I agree with Anthony about the 10 feet. That's also my recollection about the code. And we know we don't want to do things that are, we don't want to say something's appropriate if it does not agree, if it is not conform with the code. And on the assumption that Anthony and I are correct, that would preclude the louver, any louvers on the ground floor. But going to the projected wall, well, right now I'm looking on the right-hand side at what looks like the size. Well, I see the size that's there, but when I look at the diagram there in red, am I misreading it? And number one, maybe it's just the visuals, but it looks like it's going to be a much larger opening than what exists.
I don't think it's a larger opening. I think that the available space is a little bit less on this north side.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misreading it and it's less space available. The fact that there's less space available makes it even that much more difficult to approve cutting into that wall, because the other wall had enough mass to it, enough width to it, that you could cut into it. And of course, I would not want to be cutting into it with a louver, as you see that louver above. So I think on balance, I could not approve this. I understand the security need, but I don't think it's being handled correctly. I think Anthony made it very clear how it should be done. And I think that the lack of width to that wall really precludes a new opening, and it certainly precludes a louver, which is a blank in the wall, as opposed to a window, which suggests some transparency and some connectivity between the courtyard and the interior. In any event, I will vote no on this, or I'll vote for disapproval.
Oh, Michelle, you have your hand up?
Michelle and Marco as well.
Okay.
Yeah, two comments. I'm sorry, David, I couldn't hear all of what you said. For me, you faded in and out, but I just wanted to say about the external door, removing it. I wanted to say, and I think my hand was up, that there's nothing to preclude the owner from doing anything he or she wants on the interior of the apartment. Filling in that doorway on the interior and doing anything that they want in order to make it disappear, but it does no harm remaining as is on the exterior. The second thing is, am I correct in assuming that this building had all wood windows when it was first built? I think that was probably a good bet. And can we say anything in our whereases for them to revisit their master plan of aluminum windows for a building like this? And it's a massive building, so there's lots and lots of windows. So if you think it's appropriate, I would love to have that in a whereas somewhere.
I'll be happy to add in a whereas, Michelle. I don't think I'll ask the board to revisit. I'll just express our disappointment in learning that the master plan calls for aluminum windows.
Okay.
Marco?
Thank you. I think this is a point of information. I'm going to vote no in this application. However, I had to mention something. This, if is an HVAC system, there is no exhaust. The only thing is a rejection of heat. Somebody mentioned, I think Anthony mentioned, that this is an exhaust. That is not an exhaust, because it's just only reject heat. And this is a clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. When this came before us, or a louver for one of the windows came before us about a year ago, I actually voted against it. This is an extraordinarily beautiful building, as so many of you have pointed out, with that beautiful, unusual courtyard. And I think any tampering with all these louvers, I mean, it makes me very sad because they're just sort of blank spaces. They don't have the character of windows. And not only that, they're aluminum. Whatever is going to be done on the outside is aluminum. In any case, I think it's a move to disapprove. Does anybody want to suggest a resolution? And Michelle, I will add in something about our disappointment with the master plan.
So moved.
Okay,
Move
and
to
is there a
disapproval.
second? Marco, thank you, Marco. So we can go to a vote, Jordan.
That's good. I'm gonna pull it up in just a second. Okay. This is for item 3, 1185 Park Avenue. This is a motion to disapprove. Elizabeth,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Marco,
Yes.
Christina.
Yes.
All right, it passes unanimous approval for disapproval.
Thank you.
Can I
Thank you.
ask a question, a general question? When I first joined the board, which is now 20 years ago, and we were starting on an effort to expand the historic district, or now the Park Avenue Historic District, from 79th to 86th Street. And a couple of us filed the RFE for exactly that proposal. It took 9 years and we got it. But the reason I'm raising it is because at that time, I joined the Landmarks Committee and I asked the question of whether or not the community board can bring its own application to the Landmarks Commission. At that time, I was told yes. Is that true? If it's true, can we bring an RFE for 1185 Park, asking for a new RFE, for a new window proposal of wood?
Yeah.
Window plan, master plan.
I know.
I
Too much
I mean, are we
details.
allowed to do that in general?
I don't want to take Chuck's position as the expert, both as a lawyer and Robert's Rules of Order, but I would say to you that if the community board voted to do it, that would be one thing. But I don't think that as a committee, we can act independent of the community board as a whole. Not to
No,
bring,
I didn't mean that, David. No, I meant if we did it as a resolution in the committee, of course it would go to the full board. I just wondered if such a thing can be generated from an entity of the community board.
I don't see why the community board couldn't come up with its own request of landmarks. And we can check that out with Michelle and or Chuck as need be, but I don't see why we couldn't do that.
Elizabeth has her hand raised.
Sorry?
Elizabeth has her hand raised.
Elizabeth, you should be unmuted. Go ahead.
Yes. All I wanted to mention is I believe that Landmarks for years and years and years has a policy of requiring wood windows where they existed before up to 6 floors, and not on buildings that were above that. I just mentioned this when we consider that this would require a change of policy to require wood windows on a building. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm simply saying that it's not the policy they follow.
Well, maybe what we ought to do, Elizabeth, is ask Chuck what his thoughts are on this. I think there's nothing wrong with the committee, if we have the approval of the full board, sending a letter to the board of 1185 expressing our disappointment.
No, I think it should actually come. Well, I think it should be coming. Well, I see what you're saying, Jane. You're not asking them to do something. You're just telling them we're disappointed.
Yes.
But if we want them to do something, I think it has to come from the community board as a whole.
Yes, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. And not that it might work because it is private property and they do have their own board of, directors. But I think we should really note it. And I will make a point of noting it very strongly in our resolution as a first step.
Okay. Is
Okay,
there
thank you.
any old business? Well, Mr. Simpson, thank you. I see you're still hanging in, despite what I suspect is a disappointing result. So, any old business? Any new business? See you all Wednesday night.
Yes.
Thank
indeed.
you,
To
everyone.
adjourn.
Thank
Night.
you. Good
Night.
night.
See you guys Wednesday.